加的不是时间，加的是对200多，这30分钟啊，进去就还。
Hello, everyone. City, Yunnan Province, where a group of women stand by the roadside, wearing cheap stockings, faded lipstick, and smoking cigarettes. To some, virus infecting the city, suddenly appearing to pollute its image. But they're not some dirty thing that dropped from the sky. They've seeped out from the cracks of history, the gaps in our systems. Yes, their story isn't about how they fell, but why they can't survive otherwise. Modern invention? Don't overestimate the complexity of our modern world. Thousands of years ago, survival work was already a fixture in ancient China. Think the nobles of the spring and autumn period were all about etiquette? Sorry, they were also quite skilled at seeking pleasure. By the Han Dynasty, the entertainer system was widespread. Some officials kept concubines and ran special side businesses, called cultural refinement, but really meant companionship for hire. Later, in the Tang and Song dynasties, entertainment districts thrived, and in the Yuan, Ming, and Qing eras, houses of leisure braided. Oh, and those poets waxing lyrical about romantic muses? They were often just writing client diaries. So here's the question. If ancient people could package survival work as art, why do we modern folks brand street workers as a social shame? The answer is simple: hypocrisy is the lubricant of modern society. In the 1980s, as cities opened, people moved, and markets grew, new terms spread. Venturing out, escort services, massage workers. They sounded varied, but they all pointed to one truth: women's bodies were being repriced by a new social order. The irony? After laws banned such work, it didn't disappear, it grew tougher, surviving in hidden identities. Street workers are the most open of them all. They don't use venues or intermediaries, they stand on the street, making a raw deal with society. They choose this not because they love the wind and sun, but because there's no other road. To some, freedom is doing what you want. For them, freedom is, no one cares if you live or die, so survive however you can. Would you stand on the street? The answer is obvious: no. But no one has ever seriously asked them that. Society only asks two questions. Why are you so shameless? Why don't you get out of this area? When a young woman arrives in Yunnan from elsewhere, earning 1,800 yuan a month in a factory, sending money home, and left with nothing after rent, when she's hungry at 3 a.m. but can't afford a second meal, when she sees others earning thousands through connections, who say, try it once, you'll get it, she's not choosing to stand on the street. She's pushed into the night by a game where the poor never win. It's as if someone shoved her down a staircase, then said as she hit the ground, you walk down yourself. More than a transaction. Standing on the street isn't just about survival, it's about selling. Some say, they're so bold, soliciting out there. But they're the most timid. They're too scared to refuse aggressive clients, too scared to rely on luck. Will today bring a dangerous encounter or a haggling regular? They're not just engaging in survival work, they're selling. The chance to avoid a beating. The luck to stay out of custody. The breath to keep living. In this society, they use their identity to bargain with systems, poverty, and indifference. Yet, all people notice is that they wear too little. They're like a rag used to wipe the city clean when needed, despised when not. But make no mistake, they didn't choose to be this rag. The city thrust it upon them. Why does them to exist? Leaders say, we must clean up, crack down on vice. Yet, the women remain. The truth? depends on whether important visitors are coming or who controls the turf. The unwritten rule is, one eye open, one eye closed. Street workers are circulating labor. When eyes open, they're stains on public order. City officials, enforcers, intermediaries, landlords, even some community leaders profit from this game. Some collect protection fees. Some take bribes for warnings. Some use their services, then inspect to keep up appearances. This isn't condoning crime, it's the city's humblest gray lubricant. Their existence seems unsupported, but in truth, everyone needs them. The irony? Those who use their services are often the civil servants by day, clients by night, volunteers by day, customers by night, online critics saying, they ruin morals, but searching Xiaodong South plus contact at night. They're a mirror, exposing society's split personality. Men use them, then call them degrading names. Some express pity but whisper, they deserve it for not studying. Online debates claim they corrupt youth, yet youth access in hidden corners of the internet. They're neither sinners nor saints, just society's disposable cover, reused until worn out, until no one wants them. They have no protections, no unions, no contracts, no injury compensation, no pensions. They're not even bottom-tier workers, they're invisible, in policy, they don't exist. What they provide is society's oldest, steadiest transaction, their bodies, the last resource of marginalized women, quietly priced and sold outside the system. When someone sells their body, you think they've lost everything? Wrong. They can still lose dignity, freedom, their future, even their life. People say, if you don't want to do it, don't. That line shrinks every social issue into personal choice. But reality is harsher. Once they're in, it's like sinking in quicksand, the more they struggle they go. Why? Leaving is 100 times harder. They can't go home, shame and threats block the way. They can't find work, no education, no skills, sometimes a record, even online harassment. They can't save themselves, trapped by intermediaries, gangs, ex-partners, or even authorities. No one helps, they're neither official victims nor mainstream sufferers. Some are cleaners, servers, or streamers, but reality hits hard. Legal poverty is often more hopeless than illegal survival. You're clean but still broke, you're redeemed but still seen as tainted. Meanwhile, a night on the street earns a month's wages. Street workers don't thrive on permission crackdowns. They survive not by systemic protection, but by systemic neglect. You can arrest some, detain others, deport you can't erase. Rural girls who can't find decent city jobs. Women burdened by family costs after limited schooling. Those from a single crisis. Young mothers fleeing abuse with nowhere to go. They're people who fell through society's gaps, not ones who jumped. So, street workers won't disappear with moral cleansing, just as dust doesn't vanish because you ignore it. They exist at the crossroads of gender and class oppression. You can call it gender-based, they survive on their womanhood. You can call it class-based, they lack background, resources, or choices. Is the unacknowledged weight of both. The state doesn't recognize them as legitimate workers. Mainstream advocacy sidesteps them as a women's issue. Scholars avoid studying their real lives. Public opinion demonizes them as moral trash or gender enemies. They're a group without a voice, representation, or safety net. At society's base, they carry everyone's projected fear, shame, disgust, and desire. They're not products of moral decay. They're systematically produced by poverty, gender, and exclusion. If you'd ask first, who pushed them into this? If you think they pollute the city, consider, is your clean city just pretending the dirt isn't there? They're not their people. The most marginalized, forgotten, despised, used, and suppressed people in our society. They're not the stars of some epic tale, they're just surviving a real-world nightmare. No government says, we need street workers. But cities, like patients denying illness, cough up blood while claiming health. Street workers are the default plugin in this pretense, undeletable, yet never openly acknowledged. No legal body manages them, but a precise underground ecosystem revolves around them. You think they wander aimlessly? No. Their territories are clearer than convenience stores. Which street has students, easy to negotiate? Which corner is quiet in the day, good for quick work? Which area has regulars, good for steady clients? Which building has management that turns a blind eye? Even have sisterhoods scheduling shifts, stand in the wrong spot, and you might face trouble. Some enforcers tip off certain women before raids, saying, "Don't come today." They have no IDs, no licenses, yet live in a disciplined, shadow union, sustained by the silent consent of those in the know. See them earning with their bodies, but miss that their bodies support families, intermediaries, landlords, and more. Here's the chain. 1. Intermediaries who connect clients, taking 15% per deal. 2. Lookouts on scooters, signaling raids for 3,000 yuan a month. 3. Informants with ties to authorities, paying small bribes for raid schedules. 4. Landlords charging triple market rates for cash only. 5. Clients, retirees, drivers, even low-level officials, who are regulars. You think they're selling? No, an entire grey society is profiting off them. They stand as bait, but the real catch is the parasites.
伙计，
200，
啊，应该是我的
单做的200再40，吹了300了，
10分钟啊，其他服务没有。
就加100可以吹呀，
吹多少钱？
吹个3、4分钟啊，吹一半做一半啊，
弄啊！哎呀，时间太短了，
一般都够了。
都出不来。
They know. Thursdays. Inspections mean a week's cleanup beforehand. Which stations are strict, which look away? Which enforcers takes peace? This is their survival code, learned through arrests, beatings, and betrayal. They're never protected, they just learn to dodge the storm. It's like living in a roofless house, posing to block the rain, only to hear, "You deserve to be soaked." People say, if you really want change, society has opportunities.
多少钱？啊？多长时间
10分钟。
10分钟。
再待10分钟，够就够了时间。
吹吗？
吹300。
多少钱？15分钟。带头吹。其他没有。
进去做吧。
啊？
你们有几个人了？我们2个人，你们几个人了？
现在这边是我自己，你要跑了再去别处找。
你看我爷那个哈，你先听听。那个，我问你了，哪呀？我下来一个，看去的。
多少钱？多少几位
？10分钟。
吹的。
吹也是10分钟，3个。
就20分钟。
都是10分钟。
这边才10分钟，那出不来。
加的不是时间，加的是。
裸吹吗？
裸吹啊？
做。
就每个人吗？
快。
还有人吗？我们2个人呢。
没。
That's a warm platitude, but for them, it's cold, salty, sour, and served without a spoon. Policies claim to help vulnerable women, single mothers, laid-off workers. But street workers? They're not on the worthy list. They're not pure victims or morally correct, their cause. What they need is a job that doesn't judge their past. An ID treated equally. A home free. But these are nowhere in the support system. Cities have an aesthetic: white walls, green trees, clean streets, suited pedestrians, smiling clerks. Street workers are visual pollution to this system. They understand time to relocate. Like animals sensing a shift, they migrate, pushed from city centers to the fringes, to the edges of the edges, like faded pixels in a gray filter. In morality's dictionary, they're fallen. In law, they're illegal. In society's order, they're outliers. But the truth, they're none of those, just people who fell through the system's cracks. It's the most common, least useful question. What's proper work? 00 yuan, month server job, standing all day, berated by bosses?
每天不给往黑涨价，
遭不得晚些，
这北京明年我现在这个
我还是太多了一些。
真的人太多了。
阿太好，你不跟这个，
老子
我来，
等下来嘛，
你给
等下来。
搞得真多嘞。在。
A cleaner job, scrutinized by landlords? 5-gig jobs, counting coins for meals. Proper work is a middle-class fantasy, a comfort that effort equals escape. They've tried. Factories where machines crushed fingers. Domestic work where they were secretly filmed. Delivery jobs that wrecked knees. They didn't choose this because it's easy, it's what the world said they're worth, their bodies. Society loves to cry, moral decay, but why does morality only bind the poor? A rich person's affair is complex, a celebrity's indiscretion is a flaw, a street worker's survival is unforgivable. If they're so wrong, why are they targeted more than traffickers? Why does no one help when they're hurt or gone? Why do media expose them more eagerly than school scandals? Morality swings the bat, but power and indifference pull the trigger. They're scapegoats for unchecked desire, family breakdowns, systemic failures, problems cities won't solve. They're not sinners or victims, they're outcasts, unworthy even of victim status. If street workers are a city cancer, why hasn't decades of crackdowns cured it? The efforts are loud, the reports numerous, the slogans bold. But the one thing missing? Facing the problem itself. They understand, time to relocate. Like animals sensing a shift, they migrate, pushed from city centers to the fringes, to the edges of the edges, like faded pixels in morality's dictionary, they're fallen. In law, they're illegal. In society's order, they're outliers. They're none of those, just people who fell through the system's cracks. It's the most common, least useful question. What's proper work? A 2000 yuan, month server job, standing all day, berated by bosses? A cleaner job, scrutinised? 5-gig jobs, counting coins for meals? Proper work is a middle-class fantasy, a comfort that effort equals escape. But they've tried. Factories where machines crushed fingers. Domestic work where they were secretly filmed. Delivery jobs that wrecked knees and kept deposits. They didn't choose this because it's easy, it's what the world said they're worth, their bodies. Society loves to cry, moral decay, but why does morality only bind the poor? A rich person's affair is complex, a celebrity's indiscretion is a flaw, a street worker's survival is unforgivable? If they're so wrong, why are they targeted more than traffickers? Why does no one help when they're hurt or gone? Expose them more eagerly than school scandals. Morality swings the bat, but power and indifference pull the trigger. They're scapegoats for unchecked desires, family breakdowns, systemic failures, problems cities won't solve. They're not sinners or victims, they're outcasts, unworthy even of victim status. If street workers are a city cancer, why hasn't decades of crime? The efforts are loud, the reports numerous, the slogans bold. But the one thing missing? Facing the problem itself. Solving it means reforming labor markets to guarantee jobs for marginalized women. Bridging rural-urban divides to give migrants a place. That's 1,000,000 times harder than a raid. So, no one tries. As long as they're on the street, the city can pretend it has no deeper issues. If China's problems were an X-ray, street workers are the tumor blurred with mosaics, not just for being ugly, but for exposing truths we